Part 4 in the final installment of Let's Talk Baseball with Eddie Watt, two-time World Series champion with the Baltimore Orioles. Well, I was reading a story, all right. In 1977, you were playing for the Padres minor league affiliate. I think it was the Hawaii Islanders. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. I understand that your team was in the middle of a losing streak.
Yep.
I want you to finish this sentence here.
At the end of the story, at the end of the season.
During a game, you picked up a rosin bag and?
Threw it. Threw it to home plate. Threw it as a pitch.
Was it a strike?
Yes. We were, the manager at that, there was 77, see, I was an old man now. I was out of the big leagues, and I'd been in Hawaii in 76, and we won the pennant out there in 76. And this was 77. And Dick Phillips was managing the club. And Pup wasn't 5 years older than I was. And we had two teams in Hawaii. There were five of us guys that were 35 and up, or four, I guess, and then the rest of them were all 22, 21, a couple of them maybe a little younger. And we ended up we were in first place by 3 or 4 games. See, on a road trip from Hawaii, because of the distance and the flight and the cost and all that, when you went on a road trip, you'd go 15 days. This is a year, I think we went on 2 road trips. One was 21 days and the other one was 25 days. And this was right at the end of the season. This is the last road trip. We were up 3 or 4 games. We went into Seattle, or Tacoma, and lost 4 out of 5. Now we're maybe tied. We went to Spokane, and we'd won the first one, we lost 3 in a row. This was the 5th day, and we're getting beat. And I'd had a real bad first half of the year. I was like 1-6, and I was ready to. They were going to make a manager out of me the next year. And Dick Phillips asked me. He said, would I be a manager next year? And I said, yeah. I needed a new knee. I needed a bunch of stuff, and I'm getting worn out. Second half of the year, I was the best pitcher on the club, pitching relief. I seemed like I pitched every day, and every day I pitched really well. Well, we're going into Spokane. We're down 17-1 in the bottom of the 7th. And they hit in the 18th, and Dick yells, and I'm down in the bullpen. And Dick yells at me, he says, come up here. So I go up to the dugout, and I go out and I coach third base. He said, I'm tired. So I go out and I coach third base, bang, 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 we're out in a hurry. He says, now go pitch, get somebody out. He said, quote him, paraphrase him. He says, go get somebody out, I'm tired. I don't want to sit here and watch this any longer. Go get somebody out. I said, okay. So I go out, throw my 8 pitches. They throw the ball around the infield. Third baseman throws the ball to me. I catch it, go down, and the rosin bag, you know how the rosin bags are around here, the little square things with a lot of powder? No. In the big leagues and in professional baseball, they take the sanitary socks and they put brick rosin in it and they smash it up a little bit. Well, the rosin bag is about this big around and it's heavy enough to throw. It's about the size of a softball. So I kind of reached down, grabbed it, ended up, I got the ball in my bare hand, I got the glove, and I got the rosin bag in here. So I'm looking in, and the catcher is Rick Sweet. I stick the ball up in the web, and I get this rosin bag. And Gantner, the second baseman, the left-handed hitter was with the Brewers.
Jim
Gantner.
I think that's right. Jim
Okay,
Gantner.
because I faced Gantner, Ellis, and Dick Davis. And so I take this rosin bag, and Rick sticks down fastball, and I said, okay, and I wind up, and here come the rosin bag at home plate. And it's coming, whoa, whoa, whoa. It looks like a water balloon, you know? And the umpire, who was sitting back there, and Rick doesn't know what's coming. And it hits, poof, and there's just rosin flying every which direction.
That's
And
great.
he kind of falls over backwards, and the umpire's back there. His name is Johnson. He later was president of the league. And it goes whoof, and he's back there looking like this. He says, "What the hell was that?" And then Rick plays it just as perfect as he could. He's got the rosin bag here, and he just goes, whoop, throws it back to me. And instead of catching it, I just fall straight down. And now I got the mound. And I'm like this, ready to pitch. The third baseman is John Felsky, who I'd known since 1962. And he says, "You little fat son of a bitch, you're the only guy in this league that could get away with that." And I'm completely ignoring it. I'm all set to pitch, and I look over, and the Spokane dugout, they don't know what's going on. And our dugout didn't know what was going on either, except they're breaking up. They're laughing. They're rolling on the floor. One of the guys is rolling on the outside, and here's the top of the dugout. The dugout's down here, and all I see is Dick Phillips' head coming up over like this, and he's crying. He's laughing so hard, and he just goes back down and falls down. And next pitch I throw, little sinker, bang. Gantner grounds out to second base. Boom, fastball. Ellis pops up. So I said, well, I've already kind of made this game kind of fun. Dick Davis was leading the league in hitting at about 380. And he went on and played in the big leagues for a long time. And he could really hit. He was tall, slender black guy. He could really hit. So I just yell in to the catcher. His name is Rick. I said, Rick, let's have some fun here. And of course, Dick is all serious. He don't want any part of it. And then, so first pitch, I just did a regular straight boom, boom, bing, bang, strike. And same thing, wind up, whoop, ball. I said, okay, now let's put some variance in here. And I start doing all kinds of goofy stuff on the mound, winding up like Satchel Paige with the whole thing and doing this other stuff. And I threw him 5 pitches, got him 3 and 2, and then I threw him a 6th pitch, and he just sat there and looked, and then he just broke up laughing. I struck him out on the 3-2 pitch, but. We got back. That was the last day. We got back to Hawaii. We had a 10-game homestand. We won, I think, 8 out of the 10, and we ended up winning the pennant. And Dick always told me, he said, I was the reason that we won the pennant because these kids were getting all nervous and all tense and all that. And he said, well, the goofy stuff I did that one inning relaxed them, and it was just fun. I was just having a good time.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
I love that.
But it was true, and it was funny. I mean, it was funny. I loved it.
Corey Pepper from Lincoln, Nebraska. He wants to know who the toughest hitter you face and what was your approach?
Pete Rose. Pete Rose Could handle anything you threw. He didn't, nothing bothered him. Throw him a fastball, he'd hit a ground ball to the left fielder. And if you tried to throw him breaking ball in, he'd hit a ground ball to the right fielder. And if you threw it down the middle, he'd hit a ground ball right through your legs to the center fielder. You know, he just handled the bat well and hit well. The toughest guy to pitch to, Rose, he didn't care. I mean, he was going to get his hits, and he was Tony Oliva. Tony was the best natural hitter I ever saw in my life. Cuban, I don't think he ever did learn how to speak English well enough to communicate with too many people. But he had no idea how to hit. Most guys, they go through all this, well, this is the power zone, and this is the, you know, and then you got to get your set and you crank and you do this. And Tony hit with about 14 different stances. He'd just walk up there and stand sometimes, and they told me about him, and the first time I saw him, I couldn't believe it. Left-handed hitter, and I threw him a pitch, the best sinking, hardest sinking fastball on the outside part of the plate where the left-handed hitter shouldn't be able to hook it and throw it to first base, and he hit the hardest ground ball right through Boog Powell at first base of anybody I ever saw. I mean, hard. Next time up, I said, well, you can't do that. So I cranked up and I threw the best fastball I could ever throw this far from his belly button. And instead of pulling, he hit it to left field and almost killed Brooks at third base. And then after that, I said, okay, fine, there's nothing you can do. And they said, the way you pitch Tony Oliva, just throw the ball right down the middle of the plate, hard as you can, and he'll get himself out or he'll get a hit. And that's the way he did. He just hit.
Who would you say was the most competitive player you either played with or against?
Frank Robinson.
Frank Robinson.
He was the most competitive. The scariest, most competitive, Bob Gibson. Gibson was the finest natural athlete I ever saw. He could play basketball. He played for the Globetrotters.
Right.
He Hall of Fame baseball player. He had a year in '68 that he had like 18 complete games. Now, if you're a pitcher and you get 1 or 2 a year, you've done a super job. If your team has 5, it's great. He had 18 himself. He had an ERA of 1.12 and pitched almost 300 innings that year.
Do you think he was the reason they lowered the mound in 1969?
He is the reason they lowered the mound. They lowered it, 8 inches or whatever it is, because of him.
And how did you feel about the mound being lowered?
Being a sidearmer, it really didn't make that much difference. But the guy and the most competitive, that was scarier yet, was a guy named Brown with Detroit. Was a pinch hitter, backup outfielder. Nobody ever knows his first name. His name is Gates Brown. He was about 6'2" and about 235, 240 pounds. And Detroit signed him out of the Ohio State prison. He was in for armed robbery. And he was scary. He looked scary. And if a fight started, you wanted to be as far away from Gates as you could get.
I'd be hiding behind Boog Powell.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Where's Boog?
Boog was pretty good size, but
Yeah, he is.
he was just a happy guy, friendly guy. Gates was scary. I mean, but he never bothered anybody until something happened, and he always put an end to it real quick though. So it was all right.
Well, 1966, I saw that you hit 304 in like 43 at bats, and you had 2 home runs.
2 home runs that year.
Yeah, who'd you hit the home runs off of?
In '66, Johnny Padres,
Okay.
a well-known.
Was he with the Dodgers at the time?
No, he was with Detroit,
Detroit. Okay.
and I think that was his only year with Detroit. And another not quite so well-known, it was with the White Sox, but he was with Washington at the time with a guy named Frank Kreitzer.
Okay.
The best story of me hitting a home run, I hit 3, well, so there's not too many stories involved there, but was Sam McDougal. We were playing Cleveland, and Sam was about 6'4" and about 230. He was a big monster guy, and he could give you 4 of the best pitches of anybody in baseball. Best combination 4 pitches anybody in baseball: fastball, curveball, slider, and a change. And he was pitching against us and was embarrassing the Orioles. They were up 4-0, and somehow I came in the ball game at about I was a middleman at this time. I came in and pitched the 6th of the 7th, the bottom at the top of the 7th and top of the 8th, and then in the bottom of the 8th, I was supposed to come up to hit. Hank Bauer was managing, and so I figure I'm done. I walked in, sit down. Hank had that gravel voice. He says, go out and hit. He says, the other guys can't hit him. You go ahead. Hell, you're a better hitter than they are anyhow. And I says, Hank, sure, yeah. So I go get my bat and go up to home plate, and it struck. McDowell thought he could hit, and he was a horrible hitter. And I struck him out on 3 pitches, the top half of the inning. So I come up in the bottom half. I get in there. First pitch, he turns one loose, and I got from here to here, and that's all. Strike. Second pitch, same thing. And I get a little further this time. Strike 2. 0-2, and he tries to get me in with the slider, and he left it in the middle of the plate. And I hit it halfway up the seats in left field in Baltimore. And of course, then I just kind of trot around the bases like I'm a star and like I can hit.
You didn't do a bat flip or anything?
No. That's one reason I don't watch baseball today.
Well, I can appreciate that.
It's too much, way too much of that, and it ruins the game, and it ruins the game for the kids. That and wearing their hat backwards and all the crap they got with the pounding on the chest and look at me, I'm a hero. And just a lot of things like that irritate me, and signing autographs and stuff you're talking about. A lot of guys sign autographs, you can't read it. You can't know who it is. Palmer has beautiful penmanship. Andy Etchebarren had beautiful penmanship. Brooks had a lot of them do.
Yeah. I'm looking here. These are not real autographs, but there are autographs on these cards.
And Arnold Palmer put it better than anybody. He said, "That's your name. Be proud of it, so somebody could read it."
Mm-hmm.
And I've always tried to make sure that I write my name, so somebody, for reasons I write, I sign bubblegum cards and stuff. I sign Ed Watt. Anything legal or anything I sign to a friend, I put Eddie.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
Eddie's my name's not Edward.
Okay.
And I want somebody, if I take the effort to write my name, I want somebody to read it, you know.
Harmon Killebrew has a beautiful autograph.
Who?
Harmon Killebrew.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Jim Webb, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to know who your favorite teammate was.
Probably Pete Rickard. Well, it's tough to pick. You know, that's like saying who's the prettiest girl in the world. You got to say your wife first, and
I was going to say she's at home, right?
Yeah, Pete was my roommate for 5 years. And we got along great. We did they called us Heckle and Jekyll most of the time, or Chip and Dale, or somebody. But there were 4 or 5 guys that we hung around with that I really, really enjoyed their company. Pete was one. Mo Drabowski was one. Boog was a lot of fun. He was good. Grant Jackson and I got along super. We had we almost roomed together, but that was the time when a black guy and a white guy didn't room together. They get into, they'd have a lot of hassle. So we didn't, but we ran together a bunch. He was a good guy.
Well, I see you're wearing one of your World Series rings. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, this is one from the Braves that I was working with the Braves when they won the pennant. The Braves were
1996.
Yeah. They were. I think they were just the National League champions.
Oh, okay.
I just took the other one off. I keep 3 of them in the house and the other 7 in a safety deposit box. About every 4 or 5 months, I switch them up, and then I wear one for a couple of weeks, and then another one for a couple of weeks.
Well, I've got one last question for you, and then we'll get back to the cookies.
Okay.
That good? I was curious. I collect baseball cards, as most of the folks that watch my channel do. Tell me a little bit about Topps. They would come out. Did they catch you during games or spring training? Did they ask you to pose? Or can you tell a little bit about how that all worked?
Yeah, it's completely surprising. If you're a kid coming out of high school, out of college, or anywhere, and you sign a professional contract, within a week, you will get a letter from Topps. This now, I'm talking 50 years ago.
Sure.
Because it's been that long since I've signed. But I think it's still very close to the same. You get a letter from Topps, and with a $5 check there. You, by endorsing this check and taking it to the bank and getting your $5, you are agreeing to let us use your picture, facsimile, name, etc., on cards, on something. And then they will come down and they will take the whole club. They'll spend like 2 days, and it's always in spring training. If you look,
Well, I've got some of yours right here.
if you look, there's always a palm tree in the background.
Yeah, spring training, right?
Yeah. There's always.
Those are all the same. Here's one. Here's another one. Now I don't know where was that taken at. It's 1969 Topps.
That's Baltimore Stadium.
Here, I'll just put that up there.
90% of them are in spring training. You can see the palm trees in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see the palm trees. And if they don't get you in spring training, then they'll come around during the year. And if they use your card at this time, I'll go back to 1966. If you use your card, then they send you a catalog, and then for 1 year, you will get this prize. If you don't want a prize, if you don't want your reward that year, you can save it up for 2 years. All I ever got out of the tops, because I never really wanted anything, I never had enough that I could get anything, was that I saved it up, because when I hit the big leagues, I didn't have enough money to have a television, so we waited that first year, so I ended up getting a color TV in '67.
Wow.
Then I got divorced, so I was living with an undercover narcotics cop for 2 years in Maryland, and there's another source of about 50 good stories.
That might be episode 2.
Yes.
I just got another color television, and then when I left Baltimore in '74 to go to Philadelphia, I couldn't take it up in the car. It was too big, so I gave it to a friend of mine, and Mike Anderson, that was with the Phillies, and he had a house there, and I gave it to him, and he had it as far as I know. But you just had the stuff, and then they had to put you on limit that, because if you get your $5, then guys like Mantle and Mays and Snyder and Frank Robinson were only going to get $5 for their name, which didn't set well with the Major League Baseball Players Association. Yeah. And so I don't know what they do now.
Well, I know some of the players had disputes back in the day. Ted Williams and I think Stan Musial.
Right.
I think they held out, said, no, we're not going to sign these contracts with Topps. And I think
Right.
they went with Bowman. And then eventually Topps purchased Bowman, and things kind of fell
Right.
in place. But
And Fleers had some. And
yeah.
the greatest of them all was the one with Camel cigarettes. So Honus Wagner.
Yes, of course.
They a bunch of them. You get the you get tobacco cards.
Yeah.
On the back of the cigarettes.
Yeah.
And Honus Wagner was the guy that was one of the original. Nobody should smoke, it's bad for them. And so they only printed very, very few of his cards. And I think there's 2 of them left. There's one that a bunch of nuns had back east and finally sold it for, I think, $750,000.
Okay.
And I don't know who owns it now, but I mean, it went to 2 or 3 different places. Somebody else will buy it for a couple $1 million here before long.
Did they ask you to pose, or did you just come up with your own
Oh
pose?
no, you posed.
You just pose?
Oh, that's
You just kind of did what you wanted to do? And
yeah. And this was supposed.
Is there a rosin bag in this one? In that glove there?
No.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
That's one of them here. I'll show you what. This one.
Yeah. 1971 Topps. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I got a broken hand.
Oh.
Not a broken hand, just a broken finger in spring training.
Oh, so the little white right there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This was before I was married to a good Catholic lady. We were playing basketball. The Orioles basketball team was against brothers and the priests at Saint somebody's monastery in Baltimore, and he kept pushing me, and so I smoked this priest and ended up breaking my hand.
Well, maybe we should end it there so we don't get any more trouble.
There's another one. There should be there's another one in here where I hit another. I've only hit 2 guys in my life, and I broke one bone with the first one, and I broke 2 of them with the second one.
Well, we won't tell them where you're living.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know where North Bend is anyway.
Yeah.
For those that haven't figured out, Mr. Watt lives in Nebraska, but we won't say where.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I really
Enjoyed it.
appreciate it.
I've enjoyed
Thank you
it.
very much.
I've enjoyed it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching part 4 and the final installment of my interview with two-time World Series champion Eddie Watt of the Baltimore Orioles. Special thank you to the Emanuel family for hosting and to Chris over at Capital City Sports Cards in Lincoln, Nebraska for his generous donation of Eddie Watt baseball cards. Also thank you to Trev Grieve, John Keating, Corey Pepper, Jim Webb, Joe Franco, Hugo, and Tyrus for their questions. Last but not least, thank you, Mr. Watt, for sitting down with me and talking baseball. You're a gentleman, and I appreciate your time. Keep growing your collection, card farmers. Thanks for watching.